Hi, it's Beverly Cole, and we're going to make a fake shaker card today with super thick embossing powder and sparkle and sprinkle. Look at this beautiful card. I not only used a digital stamp set, I also used the digital papers that match. Aren't they pretty? Then I used a die from the Wings and Things set to cut out our opening, and we're going to save this butterfly for later on in this same card. I just love this background paper. Just print out what you need. Several colors available. This is the back. I turned it over. And it's white on the back, of course, because I only printed on one side. And we're going to use a piece of our clear embossable acetate. And I cut it about 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. A little bit bigger than I needed. I'm measuring here. It actually measured a little over 2.5 by 2.5. But I like having a little bit of wiggle room. So I cut it a bit bigger. Now, to attach it, we're going to use some Tear-ific tape. But first, we're going to have a little bit of fun. And we're going to make this look like a shaker card, but it doesn't shake. The first color of super thick embossing powder, which I've already melted onto the surface of the acetate, is Spring Lilac. Now I'm adding some pink cheeks. Super thick embossing powder, sprinkling oh so carefully, just a tiny bit. This is going to go a long way. We only want a bit. So after I sprinkle it onto the surface of our embossable acetate, one more color, I decided, that's right, to add some super thick silver. Everyone needs to have super thick silver in their embossing powder collection. Add a little of this with my fingers from the palm of my hand, gives me even more control. And I just scrape the rest of it off my palm back into our little bottle. Now I'm going to heat this from underneath, just like we usually do with super thick embossing powder. The neat thing is that the acetate can take the heat. I'm heating from about 1.5 inches to 2 inches away, and the acetate does not warp or melt, and it's perfect. Showing you here what it's going to look like, I decided I needed to add a little bit more super thick embossing powder, so I grabbed some Happiness, which is a beautiful yellow, and sprinkled it again onto the surface of the acetate. This time I poured it into the cover and sprinkled it with my fingers. So it doesn't really matter how you use it, as long as you are in control. You can always add more, start a little at a time. So I decided now to use my tweezers so that my fingers don't get quite as hot, and melt this from underneath again. And here we are. No matter how much it blows or bends, it is not warped or melted. Just perfect. This will be attached to the back of my card front with the embossing powder to the back of the card, so that if you've touched this acetate, you wouldn't feel the embossing powder. It's on the back. So here I'm going to attach it, and I'm going to use, like I said, some Tear-ific tape, which I've already added around the edges of the butterfly. We don't have to worry about anything sliding out or falling out of our shaker card, because really, it's not a shaker card. Everything is melted in place. I decided to use a piece of really nice bright magenta cardstock to pick up the pink in the background paper. And again, using some Tear-ific tape to attach it to our card. I just love this background paper. It comes in so many beautiful prints. And here is a digital image from Violets for You. And this one's blue, so it picks up the blue in the background paper. This also comes in over 50 images in this digital set, black and white and color. And that does not include the background paper. That's a separate set. So using some dimensional squares on the back of my image by Craft Perfect, and you'll notice some print on the back of my image. That's because I am a pretty frugal crafter, and I will repurpose things. And since this isn't going to show, I used a piece of cardstock that had some print on it from something that went through my printer, but I didn't need. So now I remove the backing paper from all of the little squares, and I'm going to attach it to the front of my card. Overlapping the butterfly, I decided a bit to make it look like it's behind the flowers. And there we go. Not quite done. Use a few more things just to make it sparkle. We know we love the sparkle. I'm going to use my Quickie glue pen to add some stickiness to the centers of our flowers where they're yellow. And then after that glue dries, I'm going to apply some Canary floss. Now our floss is made so that if you dump it on and rub it with your fingers, which we call burnishing, the more you burnish, the smoother the surface of the flocking will get, and it's not going to fall off your card. Here you'll see me dumping it on and rubbing it with my finger to burnish it in. Then I'm going to use my glitter brush to brush off the excess. Tap it, brush it, and that step is done. Here you go. Look how pretty. Just makes that yellow jump out just a bit. You can even see the yellow in the wings. I love this card. Seems like every time I make a card I love it more than the last one I made with Sparkle and Sprinkle. Now, what else? We're going to add that cutout butterfly that we achieved in our first step when we made our window. And using a little Nouveau adhesive glue, which is a very strong glue, I'm just going to put some dots down the center area of the butterfly. This has a nice small opening in this glue bottle, which makes it perfect for little dots, or you can make streams of glue. Perfect for big and small projects. I had it in front of the flowers at first, and then I decided maybe I'd like it behind the leaf. And because this is a liquid glue, I still have a little wiggle room, little time to move it around, and I pressed it in the spot where I really wanted it. Now behind that intricate butterfly die cut is that acetate shining through. So I decided I need a little bit more shine on my card. First I used some vintage drops by Nouveau, and these are matte. They're not shiny. When I pull up slightly as I drop my glue, I got two little antennae from my butterfly, just pulling away towards the top of my card as I lift the glue. Then straight up and down with the drops, I get perfect little round circular drops down the center of my butterfly. This is a self-leveling product, so they're going to be perfect little round dots. Now, we need a sentiment, but with all this other stuff going on the card, I really didn't want a lot of words. So I decided to take a sentiment from the Swallowtail Butterfly set. One simple word. Beauty. Perfect. Now, to go with that acetate shine behind that die cut, I decided I needed a little bit more gloss, and I went down the lines of the centers of all of the leaves with our dimensional glue by Sparkle and Sprinkle, and then I decided I wanted to use some on my flowers where it was light blue. Isn't that beautiful? Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to hit the bell so you don't miss a video. Have fun!